The great thing about being an actor is you're invited into people's worlds that you normally would never be invited into. People want to tell their stories. They want to be seen and they want to be understood. As an actor, you just get to go on these incredible journeys that most people are never invited to or never have the opportunity to travel on. "13 Going on 30. The character I played in 13 Going on 30 is Matt Flamhalf, who was a pudgy, awkward kid who grew up to be a photographer. He fell in love with his childhood sweetheart, played by Jennifer Garner. Gary Winnick, rest in peace. We came up in the kind of the indie New York theater and film scene. He got this chance to do a big budget film, and it was 13 Going on 30. And he's like, "Hey man, I want to do this romantic comedy, but I don't want to do it like all these other things. I want it to have a message." And he gave me a script, but it wasn't great. And we all worked on it to try and make it into something that we felt would be worthy of our time. And we shot it, and it came out really, really nice. I didn't know it was going to become iconic. I did know that the messages in it were real. You know, we played it all as real as we could. And I think it's, in a weird way, a really wholesome movie for young women, you know, and young men. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Michel Gondry was this amazing director that everyone wanted to work with. I heard about that he was doing a movie, and I asked for the script. And they told me there's just a kind of a small part in it. And I read it, and I was like, yeah, it is a small part, but I just think I could do something kind of fun and cool with this. But I'd like to talk to him. So I had a meeting with Michel. And I was like, you know, so I see this guy, he's like, he sits in his room by himself playing the bass in his underwear, you know, like I see him with like a pompadour. He's like, "A pompadour?" I was like, I don't know, like kind of like that, but like a mohawk, like half mohawk. You know, he's really into The Clash, and none of that was in the script, really. You know, Michel was like, "I love this man. This sounds cool, this man." And he cast me. It was an amazing experience, and we improvised so much of that movie, and we were writing it on the fly. They came to us, they're like, you're shooting 36,000 feet of film a day. We had like 4 cameras rolling nonstop. And Focus actually came in and like shut us down. They're like, you can't shoot this much. But the camera would be rolling while we were just sitting there bullshitting around. And then Michel loved that. He used a lot of that stuff in there. Kirsten Dunst, there's this great scene of us dancing in our underwear, you know, with Jim Carrey's body laying there. And that was totally improvised. Came out of us like passing a joint around and like really feeling, you know, feeling that feeling, you know. And then it just broke out in this spontaneous, stupid, you know, dance scene. To this day, like a really sweet movie moment. Zodiac. Sometimes you're making characters up, and sometimes you're playing real people. And in that, I played Dave TOSCHI, who I was fortunate was still alive. You're reading a script, and you get one idea of a person. You know, he's like this hard-boiled, you know, San Francisco murdered cop, and I'm going to play him tough. And then I said, well, I'd love to meet Dave TOSCHI, and everyone was freaked out. Like, you really want to meet him? And I was like, yeah, I want to go hang out with him. So took a commuter flight to San Francisco, and I went and met him. He was working in a little security firm. I went and spent the day with him. I spent a few days with him in San Francisco. I found that when you're playing other people, the best thing to do is to get them drunk or a little bit drunk, because then that's when they really like open up to you. But you have to put yourself on the line too, so you have to tell some embarrassing stories about yourself first. But after a while, you know, he won my trust. I mean, he already looked at me like, who's this Hollywood kid, you know? What is he doing here? I really like created a nice rapport with him, and really realized that my idea, my Hollywood idea of him was so far off from the truth, you know? And who he was and the idiosyncratic aspects of the way he talked, the way he dressed, even down to like eating the animal crackers, were so much more interesting than anything that I could have come up with.
Does anyone have any animal crackers?
Animal?
crackers?
They're in the car. I'm saving those for later.
David Fincher, who is like my hero, and we had the most just incredible kind of collaboration on that. He's still one of my close friends. You know, we were all in my trailer one like a Friday night drinking, and Fincher, who never really like carouses with the crew, and he keeps a really strong border between fraternizing. I poked my head out of my trailer, and he was standing out there with an empty glass, and he was like smoking a cigarette, like probably like his 10th cigarette in his life. And I was like, David? He's like, yeah. Oh, hey. I was like, you want to come in? Because I'd always invite him to come by. He's like, oh, are you guys there? And I was like, yeah, come on up. And he's like, oh, I guess I will then, And he came in, and I poured him a big shot of bourbon, and we were sitting there. After a while, it was just him and I. I was like, how's it going? He's like, I don't know. And I said, what do you mean? And he's like, I don't know if they're gonna kill me or not. I don't know if this is working. To have that kind of a moment with that kind of director and that kind of vulnerability is also another gift of being in this business. Shutter Island. We had rehearsals, and Marty was like, okay, these are the films I want you to see. I have a screening room, and we're gonna watch these movies together. And I'm sitting there, it's me and Marty and Leo. We're watching Out of the Past. And I turned to Marty and I'm like, Marty, what if my character, because he's playing this other character that's not him, what if he like went and watched all these Robert Mitchum movies and he's like doing a Robert Mitchum imitation because he sees him as like the hard-boiled detective that he thinks he should be. And he's like, yeah, do whatever you want, kid. We'll look at it. We'll see how it works. And so, yeah, I did that, and that whole character came out of that Out of the Past screening.
Doesn't exactly square with Teddy Daniels, the man, the legend, I'll give you that.
Leo and I went through like this crazy journey. It was 6 months in rain. We were wet the whole time. We had wetsuits on underneath our clothes, and I just remember like going to his trailer and playing Xbox, totally soaked, shooting this 1930s movie, and we're in period costume. The kids are all right. My brother just passed away just before that, and I was really disillusioned, probably with my life, but also like filmmaking, and I was like, this is gonna be my last movie as an actor. It was an homage to my brother, the character. My brother was like this just incredibly charismatic, sexy, dangerous, beautiful, fun, vivacious human being. And so I'm gonna play him in this movie. It was a great experience. I felt free in a way that I hadn't in a long, long time as an actor. I remember I made peace with the idea of stopping acting and transitioning into more directing and writing. I was at Sundance with it, and I'll never forget, I was sitting in the audience, the first time I'd ever seen it, and I heard the audience's response to it, which was so sincere and beautiful, and was addressing this moment in time and culture where we're talking about gay marriage. And I saw like how important film could be, how much people enjoyed it, and how much I actually enjoyed it really deeply when I got outside the business of Hollywood and just purely like the experience of making films. I was like, okay, I'm not going anywhere. And so I gave up the idea of like, what are the box offices, what are the reviews, what all that is, and just focused on what I actually had control over and what gave me joy. Annette Bening, Julianne Moore, the love scenes, the crazy, triangle, the humor.
What is wrong with me?
It was everything that I loved about cinema and why I wanted to do it, and I just felt really free. The original Avengers. Totally was like, I'm the wrong guy, this is this world, I don't know how to do this. Joss Whedon sat me down and said, no, I think you are the guy. I said, well, I can't really sign on to doing something unless I read a script. I mean, that's the only power I have as an actor, to be able to say no to something. I don't know what the hell you're making. He's like, how about if I send you 20 pages? I read the scene when Black Widow comes to find Banner. I read that scene and I knew the tone of it.
But now we need you to come in.
What if I say no?
I'll persuade you.
And what if the other guy says no? And then I got a call from Robert Downey, who's, you know, my hero. And he said, come on, Ruffalo, we got this. And that was it, and I was in. I've done so much motion capture. I have to wear what I call the man-canceling suit, which is this really tight leotard that makes you look big where you want to look small and small where you want to look big.
I miss it, man.
It was so humiliating, and all the actors, whenever I'd walk on set, would just start laughing at me because they were in their cool superhero costumes, and I'm wearing this ridiculous pajamas that made me look like a Chinese checkerboard. There was even one point where I catch Downey, Hulk catches Downey, puts him on the ground, right? And I decide I'm gonna do this Hulk roar over him in my little leotard.
What the hell?
And he just kind of he has his eyes closed, and he opens one eye, and he's just like, really, Ruffalo? That's what you're going with? And that's what it's always been like. In the last movie, he came up to me and he said, I have a lot of compassion for you. And I was like, why? He's like, because I see how hard it is for you to stand around in that costume all day. Foxcatcher. That thing had been around for a long time, and I'd asked, I kept asking to be seen for it because I was a wrestler, and it was 6 months of wrestling and working out and putting on 40 pounds, really grueling, and all the wrestling you see in there is us wrestling. And I had another real character, although he wasn't alive, but his family really opened themselves to me. I really got to know Dave Schultz in a posthumous way. Another great experience. Channing Tatum, he's my bro. You know, we went through that experience together, and yeah, I'm really proud of that movie. Spotlight. Occasionally, you get movies that are just purely for entertainment, and you get movies that are called forth from the culture. In society, we're having a conversation about an important issue. And Spotlight was one of those things. I played Mike Resendiz, another real-life character. I spent weeks with him. Again, became really good friends with him. Drank with him, ate with him, absorbed myself into that world of the Washington Post at that particular time. And the people who were the victims of these priest molestation cases.
We need the full scope. That's the only thing that will put an end to this.
Then let's take it up to Ben, let him decide.
We'll take it to Ben when I say it's time.
It's time, Robbie! It's time! They knew, and they let it happen. 2 kids, okay? It could have been you, it could have been me, it could have been any of us.
And that movie really sparked like change in the world that's ongoing today. A moment where you're in service of something that's important, that people need to know about, and that you can do with cinema in a way you can't do in any other form. Dark Water. You know, I'm an activist. I've been an activist probably since the Iraq War was when I kind of really got into it. I began to see how powerful films were and films could be in that space in a way that you can't do as an activist, you know, because stories transcend all the political and ideological divides that immediately come up when you're an activist, you know. As time's gone on, I've wanted to blend more of my activism with actual storytelling. And this article came up, and I just saw it was a place in the space that I've already been working in, which was water. And this incredible story about this lawyer who was part of the system himself, who was a corporate defense attorney, who was completely indoctrinated in that culture, believed that corporations were people, that corporations could self-regulate, that the government shouldn't have really much to do with that regulation. And he went through this experience that he realized that that whole idea was a fallacy and a lie.
They want to show the world it's no use fighting. Look, everybody, even he can't crack the maze, and he's helped build it. The system is rigged. They want us to think it'll protect us, but that's a lie. We protect us. We do.
I reached out to him, I talked to him and his wife, and I immediately fell, in love with them and thought, this has never been done quite like this from this point of view. And he's so antithetical to what a hero is, to like the Hulk or, our other superheroes. It spoke about a story that transcended all the political ideology. When we're so divided right now, I just felt like storytelling is a way to unite people around these really big discussions that we had to have in order to make our world a better place. And so that was my draw, to play Rob a lot and take control of, of kind of what I'm doing going forward. A big part of choosing a role for me is like, does it challenge me? Does it break me up? Does it push me into places that I've never been before, that scares the shit out of me, Is it a story or a person that expresses some dimension of my beliefs or my feelings? And lastly, is it something that can actually add to or facilitate or even bring forth a conversation that needs to happen? I believe that the culture actually calls the movie forward at a particular moment in time when we're having a discussion that is somehow encapsulated in that project.